Hello and welcome to my Reflections on Being an Innovative Practitioner vlog. These are the thoughts of Sue Harvey, my reflections. So as an introduction, I'm Sue Harvey. I'm currently a lecturer in social work on the BA Honours Social Work degree programme, and reflection is an integral part of social work practice, and much has been written on the subject. For example, I've put 4 examples of 4 different books that are regularly used. There's lots more, but these 4 are in the good category, I would say. So reflection is very, very integral to social work. So that's very interesting because it clearly is on teaching as well. So why is reflection important? So I had a look at what the social work profession has to say, given that it's both important to social work and teaching. And the Social Work Professional Capability Framework outlines 9 domains for professional practice. That's the 9 main areas that social workers need to evidence that they can do properly to be able to be a proper social worker. And domain 6 is specifically about reflection. And here's what it says. You can find these on the BASWA website, which is the British Association of Social Work. The reference is at the end of the vlog. Number 6, critical reflection and analysis. Apply critical reflection and analysis to inform and provide a rationale for professional decision making. That's fair enough. I think that does what it says on the tin. In more detail, this domain tells us that social workers are knowledgeable about and imply the principles of critical thinking and reasoned discernment. They identify, distinguish, evaluate and integrate multiple sources of knowledge and evidence. These include practice evidence, their own practice experience, service user and carer experience, together with research-based, organisational, policy and legal knowledge. They use critical thinking augmented by creativity and curiosity. They routinely and efficiently apply critical reflection and analysis to increasingly complex cases and draw on a wide range of evidence sources to inform decision making. They ensure hypotheses and options are reviewed to inform judgment and decision making and start to provide professional opinion. So we can see for that just how important reflection is to social work, to my subject specialist area. So moving on to have a think about why innovation is important. There's a whole number of reasons, and here's some of the main points. It can enrich learning, which has to be a win-win. It can engage students, personalise learning, can give students control over what, when and how they learn. Digital technology can support peer-to-peer learning and can help achieve ambitions for education. And there's lots and lots more detail about this in the Feldtag report. And whilst the Feldtag report was specifically written with FE in mind, I thought it was really important to mention it here because there's lots within it that's equally as useful to HE. And again, the reference is at the end of my vlog. So what was the ambition of the Feldtag report? It was to enable the system to become continually adaptive to an environment that creates new challenges for learners and teachers. That really resonated with me. I thought it was really important. So why else is innovation important? It can help students apply new skills in new contexts with new understanding, and it can help through use of experimentation, investigation and problem solving. All great reasons to be using innovation in my teaching. So moving on to have a think about how I respond to innovation, I thought this would be good to explore by using 3 different reflective models and to look at different areas of my practice. So having had a look at the different reflective models, I've chosen Kolb's learning cycle first off, then Brookfield's critical lenses, and then lastly I'll have a look at Rolf et al.'s what next model. So, Kolb's learning cycle. This is a very familiar one in social work. It's probably one that and Gibbs are probably the top 2 that are used a lot of time within practice supervision and on training, etc. So if we have a look at it, the concrete experience here. So this is when we do something like, say, when I do a teaching session, for example. And then afterwards I can reflect and think about what happened, what went well, what didn't go so well, what's my observation on that. And then I can have a move on to think about abstract conceptualisation. What's the literature telling us about this? What else could I have done? What's it making me think? So all those 3 areas can then lead to active experimentation. What does all that information and ideas tell me about how I could make things different and how I could improve and develop what I'm doing? So that gives me some ideas to then move on to my next concrete experience. So next time I teach that particular area or that particular topic, I can put that into practice, and so we can do another turn of the cycle. Let's have a look at that with an actual example of mine. So I picked a simple example that I'm new to teaching. I started in August of last year, and at the beginning I was using mostly PowerPoints and videos. But I had to reflect about that. I was thinking that these formats can be dull and repetitive. However, some students were telling me they loved the structure of it, that they liked to be able to print them out beforehand so they could make notes on them, that they liked having that format, and if the videos were quite interesting or whatever was within it, they quite liked the structure. But my view as well was that whilst it did have some advantages, it was not very exciting to present. So the abstract conceptualisation of this, I was thinking, well, there's so much more out there I could be using. And brilliantly, I've been encouraged on the teaching course to use a variety of new technology. I also recently, when I was still in social work practice, got my accreditation for video interaction guidance skills, and I really want to use that with students. And in addition to that, I considered there's a lot of research evidence in the need for innovation in teaching and in social work. So putting all those three together, my active experimentation led me to trying out lots of different technologies for teaching, making some resources, struggling with some of it, found it was time consuming, but exciting, and it inspired me. So what's not to like? So the concrete experience will be trying the new resources I've made for this module with the students, and we can go around another cycle. Okay, moving on to think about Brookfield's critical lenses. This is a model I've not used before, and this model looks at the event, so say a particular bit of teaching or innovation or whatever, through the eyes of self, students, peers, i.e. my colleagues, and what does the literature tell us, the scholarship. So I thought about using this model to consider my innovative resources. For myself, I thought that I embraced the principle of being an innovative practitioner, and I genuinely want to be the best teacher I can be. Also, I'm excited to have the chance and guidance as part of this course to have a go at stuff. And in the past, I've been to some very, very, very dull training, and I know just how much it doesn't inspire, I don't learn from it, and it's just not good for anybody. So I'm genuinely passionate about social work, and I want to inspire my students, but also I'm a bit apprehensive of finding it too hard or getting it wrong or the tech failing. So basically, I've got loads of ideas I want to try, and I think I also need taking out of my comfort zone. So what about my peers? I've got a really supportive and enthusiastic team, and that includes a supportive head of school and faculty, which is brilliant. I couldn't ask for any better. And there's lots of experience within the school, faculty, and indeed the wider college. And colleagues have offered to help me to look at my materials and offer advice, and this has helped brilliantly because I can modify and develop my resources. The head of faculty helped me with my social work advert that's going to be used with and without outside of college, and I'd done most of it, and she had looked through it and felt we needed to emphasise more the vocational element, and that was really, really good advice because it was the missing piece, if you like. So that was very, very good to have that feedback. I've been making a film to go with the video, the social work advert, and I wanted all the social work tutors to appear in this film, and they've been so enthusiastic at helping build that resource, for example, but also other resources, so that's fantastic. And I have had experiences in the past where I felt my wings have been clipped, and this feels really different. It feels the polar opposite. It feels collaborative and supportive. So that's a kind of view from peers. Students. This is a bit of an interesting one because there aren't actually any students in college to get so much feedback from, so I'm having to kind of surmise what I know already and how they've been with feedback. I have used them for my next resource, but that was just a small sample. Anyway, I have found that they're very quick to feedback and particularly let me know when things are boring. And this is useful because then actually it's the stuff that I need to modify and change, that if they're telling me that as a quick feedback loop, that's great because I can have a look at that more quickly. And when I've asked them informally, they've been very keen to give feedback. And I've used end of module evaluations and so on to gain feedback and ask them for ideas. But I'm also interested to know what technologies do they use, and I know they are, as much as I am, keen to increase peer-to-peer and self-learning opportunities. Again, the students have been brilliant about taking part in the resource making and have taken part in the filming, which is great because it's not everybody's cup of tea and it puts a lot of people out of their comfort zone. So they've been brilliant. As I say, I wish they could have been in college so that I could have made this more real time. But for a purpose of an example, I think it gives some solid way forward for their points of view. Okay, so what does the literature tell us? It says that we need a critical incident necessary to understand becoming a critically reflexive practitioner. That creative learning requires innovative teaching. Yep, that resonates with me. I can go with that. And that teaching using innovative resources can help close the gap between educational needs and professional needs. That's really important in social work. That's absolute classic. And that creativity is a skill that can be taught and developed. And creativity, it builds confidence. It allows students to take responsibility for their own learning. I think there is a counter view to this, that you either have creativity, you're either a creative person or you're not. And I would agree with this school of thinking that it's a skill that can be taught and developed, and that's what we should be encouraging the students to do. So what does this help with? So my thinking on this was I can see how useful it would be to use this live and gain real-time feedback from peer and students to aid reflection and ultimately my development. I found it quite a challenging model, which is good because it takes me out of my comfort zone. And I really like that the model necessitates reflecting through linking with the literature. So I will be using this model again. I like that it really stretches me and that it brings me some different ideas and different insights than the Gibbs or the Kolb's learning cycle. So yeah, like it, using it again. The last one I'm going to look at is Rolf et al. What, so what now? And I'm going to look at my innovative resources. So what? 10 of our students failed the social work law exam, which is my module. I'd offered them revision sessions and I made a fuller version of the quiz that you can have a look at on my big resource. I put together 25 multiple choice questions because this is similar to the exam, or a third of the exam. I was really excited to use this, as with the students. So we had a go at this quiz. They found it easy to use. I liked the instant aspect of the assessments. The students all had smartphones, so they could all access it fine. And the questions increased in complexity as they went along, so differentiation of a sort, although that could be improved over time, so students could answer as many questions as they could within the time. So what? I realised I'd made the questions far too easy, as they all finished well before the time allocated and all got more than 20 out of 25 right without much revision. So my thinking of this was to feed back to the class that this was very much a starter session, so they wouldn't be thinking that was the same level that the exam would be at, and that the quizzes would increase in complexity each session, so it gives them some kind of grid of being able to move up and down, up and up and up each session. But now I'm thinking how I can use the resource for the other two sections of the exam. Students loved it, they liked getting the answers back with the feedback. And I thought as well, on broader issues, I could use this on a regular basis to check class learning and could develop it over time. What next? Ultimately, I felt this was successful and like to make use of it and develop it, be a good resource for the team. Felt good I could do a resource that the students liked and they thought it was useful. And it's given me the confidence and inspiration to try others. And I'd also like to be able to develop a good feedback loop. What did I think overall of the reflective models? I thought they were useful tools. As I said, Kolb's very familiar, hence I tried it first. I still think it's useful, but really like the idea of using other models. Like Brookfield a lot, going to keep on using that, like the literal thinking. And I found them more useful with a very specific example. The last one in particular, in the quiz, that was useful in the what, so what, then what. And it enabled me to focus it and reflect in a very focused way and effectively come up with a useful action plan. So I will be using these again. It's really good to remind me that I need to be using these to develop my teaching practice. And here's all the references that I mentioned throughout the vlog. So I hope you found it interesting and hope to see you next time. Thanks for listening.